Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from the UK. Today is, Wednesday, the 8th of January 2025. So Happy New Year. Welcome back to this podcast. Today I'll talk about mostly knitting. I think it's all knitting actually. Just to catch you up, basically what I've been making over the Christmas break. As you may know, we went to Germany, so I did some travel knitting, but I've also, it seems to be the way always, as soon as I come back from a trip, I catch something, maybe on the airplane, maybe not. So you can probably hear it once again. So I haven't been knitting as much as I thought I would be, but I still have been doing a fair bit. So let's talk about it. I have 2 finished objects and 1 almost finished object. So in terms of finished projects, you may remember I was planning to knit a musselburgh hat for my son, and I did. This is the musselburgh hat by Isolde Teague. I have knit many of these, and my son wanted one in rainbow colors, and because I didn't have rainbow color yarn, he settled for very colorful stripes. I used Knit Picks Felici in the something windbreaker colorway. Maybe it was only called Windbreaker. It was one of the old ones. I've had this in stash for a long time. I did break into the second bowl, but I didn't use very much of it. And yeah, it's done. I made the child / adult small, I think it's called. And it fits him perfectly. He's already worn it. I haven't blocked it. He's just put it on. And this hat is good because I need to make him hats that fit under his little bike helmet, because my child does not go anywhere without his little bike. So this one works perfectly. So that is 1 finished object, and I did this on 3mm needles. I decided to make 2 pairs of socks over Christmas, and this pair I have just finished. As with always, when I go traveling and take my knitting, I lose all of the ball bands, so I apologize for this. This was some German sock yarn that my sisters gave to me Christmas 2023. And so I decided to cake it up and take it with me on the plane. So I started these on the plane. I love the colorway. I think they're really, really fun. I think they may have been a Regia, but I'm not 100% sure. They came in 50-gram balls, and I think my sisters got them on a sale when they may have even discontinued this colorway. But it's your typical sort of German, slightly rough but really sturdy sock yarn. I love the colors, but somehow I didn't always love the project. I don't know, the process of this was a bit tedious. But I have finished them. I decided to make them a bit shorter, so they'll go in the gift pile. They won't be for me, but they're really pretty. And yeah, I just did some basic vanilla socks. I have 2 of them, and they are done. Sorry if I'm rushing through this, it is because I'm recording this on my lunch break, and also because when starting, my camera had about 13% battery, which is not very much. So we're speeding through to get it done. And then I have one, well, I want this to be a finished object, but it's clearly not. But this is my second pair of socks that I knit over the Christmas break. This is sock number 2. So I'm halfway down the foot on this, so hopefully I should be able to finish this maybe by tomorrow. And these socks I absolutely love, of course I do. I didn't do a Christmas Eve cast on this year because I just knew it wouldn't really be feasible. But what I did do is I prepared and knit the cuff, like the ribbing on the cuff of the sock before we left. And then on Christmas Eve, I really sort of started making progress on the sock. So they still feel like my Christmas socks, even though I didn't start them on Christmas Eve. Again, plain vanilla socks. I made these quite a bit longer because these are going to be for me and I love long socks. And out of this self-striping, which is from Fab Funky Fibers, I did have 100 grams. So I wanted to make good use of that. And I should mention that I got this skein of yarn for free from Fab Funky Yarns, but only because I had an issue with the dye on another skein that I purchased, but just for clarity's sake, there we go. Don't know the colorway, but I think you should be able to find it if you look on her website. And I love these so much. They're just such happy stripes. And as you can see, I did the heel in pattern, but in order not to interrupt the stripe sequence, I pulled from the inside of the cake. So that means it just sort of worked out with the colors, but the stripe sequence on the front is still intact, which I like. So yeah, those are my Fab Funky Fiber socks, and I think I did longer cuffs on these as well. The ribbing I think is 25 rows, and I love them very much, and I want them to be finished so I can wear them and have happy rainbows come out of my boots. So that is my sock knitting that I've been doing. I have also been working on a cowl or scarf thing. We're not sure yet. So to tell you the backstory about this, I fell in love with this yarn when my sister was here in November. We went to John Lewis, who had a sale on all of their yarn, which I haven't really seen them do very often. So I purchased some of this Rowan Fine Tweed Haze in the colorway 16, which is a, what is it? Alpaca wool polyamide and cotton and polyester mix. It's very pretty, and I got 3 50-gram balls of this, which maybe I could have eked a very, very cropped garment out of, but I think I always wanted to make a wrap out of it. So originally I was going to make a big garter stitch sort of stole, but I started it and I didn't like the fabric that this yarn created in garter stitch. I also started a garter stitch sort of triangular wrap that was really simple, but I didn't like it. So in the end, I decided to cast on in the round, and depending on how long this gets, it will either be a scarf, like a double knit scarf, or I can just join it. I mean, I have done a little bit of ribbing just in case I do want to keep it as a scarf, but it won't matter. If I join it, I join it, and the yarn is so textured and fuzzy anyways, you can't really see much, but the texture looks much nicer in stockinette than it did in the garter stitch. Don't ask me how many stitches I cast on. I just cast on until they felt about right. I am using circular needles, and I have just been knitting round and round. I'm sorry, I feel like my lighting isn't very great with this project in comparison to my light. So I'll turn the lights up in a second, but yeah, I have used, I think, less than 1.5 bowls. I have 3 bowls. This is my second bowl, and I'm just going to keep knitting this in the round because I want it to be really big and cozy. I think it might be long enough for a scarf actually. Obviously a very simple project, but it is so soft, and I think in a coat this will be really, really nice. So yeah, that is that. I will turn off the light and continue recording in a sec. Right, before we go to my most exciting project, in my opinion, let's chat very briefly about a sweater that I have finally picked up again. So you'll be sick of this. I'll try to be quick. This is the Cliver sweater by Sunless Garn, which I am knitting out of Peer Gynt, Tin Peer Gynt, their thin Peer Gynt version, which is 100% Norwegian wool. I have been knitting this for a while because it is an all-over colorwork sweater, and very, very excitingly, I think I started the ribbing before we left, and when I came back the other day, I finally finished off the ribbing, which this is knit on a, I think, 27 stitch gauge on a 3mm needle, and the ribbing I had to do on 2.25mm needles, I believe. So yeah, imagine how many stitches this was and how long it took to make a ribbing, but I did bind it off. So the body of this sweater is officially done, and I sat down and I started a sleeve. So yeah, I must say this has been a bit of a labor of love by now. I'm sort of not over it completely, but it is just a long process as a fingering weight all over colorwork sweater that is also quite oversized. But I have started the sleeve. This is what I did the other night, about just over 4 inches, maybe 5 inches. I'm having to decrease in pattern, which is fine. Again, just something else to keep me occupied, but it is a pretty straightforward colorwork pattern, and by this point I have pretty much memorized it. So I just need to make sure, I think most of all, that I don't make any silly mistakes, because I think sometimes it's easy to make silly mistakes when you think you've got this now and suddenly I'll be doing the wrong colorwork chart or something. But yeah, we are on the sleeve. I briefly forgot what needle size I was using for the main part of the sweater. So I was freaking out until I realized I did mention it in one of my podcast episodes. So thank goodness for that, because that would have been a nightmare. But yeah, here we are on the Cliver. I should maybe mention the colorwork sweater that I am wearing today as well, actually. This is probably my warmest sweater, which is why I have been wearing it, because it has been freezing here in the UK. We had snow and then it went up to 13 degrees, which was miserable, gave me a big headache. And then now we're back to freezing temperatures. So this is a 100% alpaca sweater that I knit out of a kit by Kit Couture, which is a Danish company. I believe Beautiful Knitters, I think, sell them here in the UK. But otherwise, I just ordered this from Denmark. This was my 2020 Christmas gift. And I remember this was like in the midst of lockdowns and all of that. Casting this on maybe even Boxing Day or something. So this was a labor of love. It was bottom up. I started with the sleeves. Again, it had like a silly stitch gauge because it's a fingering weight garment. And this colorwork chart, while it looks pretty simple, it was one where you basically have to keep looking at the chart. So it was a bit of a pain, but I got through it. I don't like the neckline because it doesn't have any shaping. It's just sort of same on the front and the back. But because, I don't know, with this sweater, I feel like it's not too bad. It doesn't look too awful. And it is so warm. And I will say, this is alpaca yarn, so it's a little bit hairy. But I have worn this a lot and it still looks pretty new. So yeah, I am very happy with this one. I think it's called the Vanna, but don't quote me on it. And yeah, that is what I have been wearing when it is really, really cold. And you know me, I'm usually not that sensitive to wool. Sometimes I can be, but generally I'm not. This I am wearing under over a t-shirt, like a short sleeve shirt. This alpaca yarn bothers me less than, say, I don't know, the woolly knit British wool I think is quite crunchy. That would be an example of a crunchy yarn for me, which I still wear, but I can feel it, whereas this is actually not bothering me at all, which is really, really nice. The only thing is that this garment is really quite heavy. So it feels heavy when you put it on, but not in a bad way. So yeah, that is a quick update on what I am actually wearing. And now, should I show you what I am obsessed with at the moment? I went yarn shopping with my sister when I was in Germany. It was a long story, essentially, with family members having COVID and all of that. All our Christmas plans sort of got shaken around a bit. So it ended up that my son and husband went down to see my in-laws in the snow in the Alps for a couple of days. So I had a little break, which was really unexpected. And I, of course, used that to go shopping with my mom and sister, and we went to a yarn store. And I won't show you all the yarn that I got. I got a lot of gift yarn, actually, because my mom and my dad were requesting things, and my son picked a Christmas yarn. But I got a couple of things. But we went into this yarn store, which Germans will know, it's Wollerödel, which is basically all over Germany. And they had a scarf that looked sort of like this, but not like this. But they had this scarf, and I was just amazed with all of the color changes. And it turns out this entire scarf was knit in one colorway of this yarn. But yeah, this, like, all the balls looked very different. I tried to pick ones that looked similar, but basically this is a yarn that has a million colors in it, and somehow it works, I think. So this is Creative Melange Decay by Rico Design in the colorway 17, which I think is called Multicolor. And I think there's even a pattern which you can buy on Lovecrafts and other places where you get, I think, the scarf pattern and a sweater pattern out of this yarn. But essentially the lady in the shop just told me how many stitches to cast on. And I think the original scarf was knit in half fisherman's rib. So I did that. I tried that, but I didn't like the look of it because with half fisherman's rib, you know, the two sides look different. So I actually ripped it all out again, ironed it a fair bit, and then decided to make it a regular brioche scarf. And I'm so happy I did that. It's brioche knit flat. I am only using one color, or like one strand of yarn. I'm not doing 2-color brioche. And look at it. Look at all the colors in this. It's just so wild. And I think the brioche makes it pop. Because the lady said you could also just knit a ribbed scarf. And I thought about that. But what I really liked was these rows where you just have like one row of a color and they pop. And with a ribbed scarf, I don't think it would be like that. So yeah, I have been obsessively knitting a long piece of 1x1 brioche. And I love it. I just got a grey coat. Admittedly, it's more like it's not a winter coat. It's more like an in-between seasons coat. But I'm thinking, like with a sort of straightforward coat, or like my winter coat is like a very, very dark charcoal. I think this will look really good. And this is quite a wide scarf as well. I am knitting the yarn on 3.75mm needles, so it's quite, considering this is supposed to be a decay yarn, I think the fabric isn't too loose, which I think is important with brioche, and this is just going to be so nice. I'm so excited about this. So yeah, I have been obsessively knitting on this. I think I cast it on New Year's Eve, and here we are. I finished my first skein of ball of yarns. I have 5 of them. And I tried to sneak in the colorway change, I think, here, but you can't even tell because the yarn is so crazy anyways. I think you can basically join whenever, wherever, it really doesn't matter. And the yarn, I should tell you, it is a blend of virgin wool and acrylic, but it feels really nice. I actually really like this. It is a singles construction, so it's a non-plied yarn. And it feels really woolly and really soft, and I love it. And it's very unusual for me to just like go into a store and fall in love with a project and make that. But I think the older I get, the more I like to use kits or just like pre-made things, like buy the wool in the color of the pattern and just like I don't have to think. I knew I loved the finished project, so yeah, this is making me very, very happy. And in terms of brioche, because it is knit flat with one color, it's actually ridiculously simple as well. The only thing with brioche, I think, is fixing your mistakes, which I'm okay at. I still have to like think about it. But yeah, if you're looking for a first brioche project, something like this with a color changing yarn, I think is just really, really fun. So yeah, that's been most of my knitting. I haven't touched my Nebula sweater. I've been really trying to get those socks finished because I just wanted to get those off the needle. So I'm close to achieving that. I also really want to keep working on my Colorwork sweater, and then one day I will pick up my Nebula again, which is sitting here and looking at me very, very angrily. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. I am feeling the urge to cast on another Musselburgh hat, but I'm currently using my one Musselburgh hat sized needle for my sleeve. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that'll make me work through my sleeve. I would probably cast on more socks as soon as my rainbow color socks are done. But yeah, I am planning, finally, I was planning to do this over sort of New Year's time when we were back, but not back to work. And I was planning to sit down and like make a plan for my knitting and all of that. And then I got ill, so nothing happened. But I've got a long weekend, except my son only is in school for school hours. But I've got a long weekend where I'm planning to, on Monday and Friday and Monday, I'm planning to, plot everything out a little bit. I'm not going to go as far as making like a make 9 or something, but I want to make some plans and sort of focus myself in the right direction of what I want to be doing, because I have all these patterns which I want to make, and not enough time to make them. So I think I need to prioritize. I do need and plan to massively shop from Stash, at least for the beginning of the year. Just get some Stash out of Stash and use the beautiful yarns that I have. So yeah, that is the plan. My phone is now flashing at me. It now has 5% of battery, so I should probably wrap this up sort of quickly. But yeah, that is basically what I've been crafting. I haven't been spinning, I haven't been crocheting. I would like to go back to my Magnus throw, but yeah, maybe I should add that to my list when I sit down and plan, because it would be nice to work on a blanket while sort of being under it. And we have been re-watching, what's it called? Squid Game. Because we want to watch the second season, but I insisted on rewatching the first season again. And I think actually maybe that might be a nice project to work on my crochet blanket throughout. So who knows? Maybe I pick that up tonight. Otherwise, yeah, it's just been busy. It's been Christmas. Obviously, we were in Germany. Everything was a bit all over the place. My son got hand, foot, mouth as well, but he was a good school child and got it on during the holidays. And then we had to work a couple of days with him home, which is always a bit of a challenge. And then finally yesterday on Tuesday, he went back to school. So we're all now back in our routine. I was in London yesterday, and it feels good to be back to our regular schedule in a way. I do really like our routine. So yeah, it's been quite nice. So I hope wherever you are in the world that you are healthy and safe and you have some yarn to play with. I apologize if you can hear the leftover cold that I still have, but I hope you have enjoyed seeing what I've been crafting and making. Do let me know what you've been working on, what you are maybe planning to knit in 2025, and I will chat to you very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Happy knitting. Bye.